Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Corey, better known as the Seaman, and I want to welcome you to another edition of the Seaman's Cinema Sit Down. Oh, man, Mr. Gary Dalberman, I love you, dude. I really do. If you are familiar with Gary Dalberman, you know he's been the writer of a few of the Conjuring Universe movies. He also helped out in It. And here he's getting his first go behind the camera, and I loved what he was doing. So I ain't bulk chair. Take a seat. We're getting ready to dive in spoiler-free into Annabelle Comes Home, the third chapter in this Annabelle story that started with the writing of Gary Dalberman, all the way back at Annabelle, and then Annabelle Creation, and then he also did The Nun. And I think what's interesting about this movie is I think it's the movie that's really showing off a lot of what Gary Dalberman has learned since coming under James Wan's oh so protective and loving wings. And I think he's really operating on a lot of great levels here. I think when it came to story, you obviously get more of it in Annabelle and Annabelle Creation than you do in The Nun. The Nun, kind of like one of those like horror, like spooky Halloween mazes where every turn leads something that's supposed to make you go like this, but it's a pretty straightforward, not too in depth or critically thinking writing bit. It is the story in The Nun. It's whatever. You're here for the jump scares. Whereas Annabelle and Annabelle Creation, I think you're more involved in the story that Dalberman is telling as he slowly pulls you in and scares the living hell out of you. I think Annabelle Comes Home is the perfect combination of all these things, and to date is the best spin-off in the Conjuring universe. Oh man, I tell you, I really, really enjoyed what was going on here. Now, when you look at the film, I think the story stuff kinda is more like The Nun. There's less of it. There's not a ton of it. It's very, very straightforward. Annabelle Comes Home is simply Ed and Lorraine Warren go out on a job while their daughter Judy stays home with her babysitter, Mary Ellen. And then Mary Ellen's friend Daniela shows up and things not so good. If you've seen the trailers, you know that Daniela goes into the room that has all of the artifacts that the Warrens have collected that are either possessed by demons or spirits or used as conduits. A lot of bad juju in there, and Dahlia touches all of it. So this becomes a legitimate house of horrors. And look, when I saw the trailer, when I reacted to the trailer, I said, ooh, this is gonna be like a legit house of horrors. And if you give me a legit house of horrors, I'm so here for it. And that's exactly what Dalberman does. So I think it operates more like The Nun in that sense, where it's just kind of going, here's your jump scare, get me to the next jump scare, get me to the next jump scare. But weaves in enough of a story where you are just able to connect to these three characters, and also Michael Cimino's Bob Palmieri, who lives across the street from the Warrens and kind of has a crush on Mary Ellen. This group of four pretty much are who we are with the whole movie. We get Ed and Lorraine at the beginning, we get Ed and Lorraine at the end. Everything else takes place in the house. And what I liked is you really care and like all of these characters for different reasons just because of the little things that Dalberman puts in there. This is not a movie where we need a complicated story or a really fleshed out story. Because like I said, when you see the trailer, you're like, ooh, House of Horrors, I'm here for the jump scares. But what he did better than The Nun was weave in enough that made you really care. You really are concerned for Judy Warren. When things are happening to anybody on screen, you're like, oh no, please, not that person, not that person! And it increases the suspense, it increases the drama, and then the jump scares. It's just a wonderful combination. And this is crazy. Mr. Gary Dalberman, this is how well I think you execute this movie. You got the old Seaman, which is not typically hard to do outside of the world of horror, but I've never done during a horror movie. You got me to tear up and roll a couple at the end of this movie. There's a really, really touching bit at the end of the film that I was like, wait, how? What? When did this? How? Am I losing my mind? Why are these streaming down my face right now? It's because Dalberman makes you care about the characters. And it's not just the story or the direction or the way that he, approaches the movie, which I think he does great. I think the pacing is really solid. And I think that overall, what Dalberman does is he really works the camera in a way that just amplifies what you're seeing on screen. He's learned a lot from James Wan. He plays with doors and creepy sounds and all the things that we've gotten out of the Conjuring universe. And clearly the things that Dauerman has learned, he, boom, is fully operating here. But it's not just him that makes you care about the characters. It's this cast. McKenna Grace. Look out, man. Next superstar kid. I like her role. Her performance and her delivery is so subtle and simple, right? She's this quiet girl, kind of shy. And even when she speaks, you can kind of tell that she's like not always comfortable. And then you get to the end of this movie and you're just like, get him, Judy Warren! Awesome. Absolutely awesome. My favorite thing about my favorite Warren. Yeah, that's right. I'm sorry, Vera Farmiga, Patrick Wilson. Daughter Judy Warren has trumped Lorraine and Ed for me. And I hope that she has a big role to play in Conjuring 3, which, of course, is coming oh so soon, and I can't wait to start seeing some of that stuff come out. But I hope that in that movie, McKenna Grace is utilized more than just like popping up like, hey, I'm a daughter, here I am, because I thought she was rock solid. Man, she is a rock star at the end of this movie, and she is so strong. Like, as much as like you feel like she's kind of like a quivering cower, like she'll be the one that's most scared. She's grown up in this house. She knows all of these things, and that is where she really kind of branches out. And it's a wonderful thing to watch because it's baked into the story in a way where it's like, I understand why she's shy and why she doesn't have a lot of friends because of what is laid out in the beginning. So by the time you get to the end, you're like, oh man, look at her spreading her wings and just kind of breaking out of her own shell because this is her element. This is her chance to be the hero. And what's great is it's not just her that's being the hero in the movie. Everybody steps up, man. You get really nice stuff from Mary Ellen and Daniela, even Bob, all played by wonderful, wonderful young actors here. Madison Iseman as Mary Ellen, adorable. I love her relationship with Judy. You can tell how much she cares, how much she feels the fact that like there are other kids that are being mean to her because of what her parents do. And the way that she loves Judy just makes you love Mary Ellen right away. And same thing, man. Like she is, for a good chunk of the movie, like, oh my God, because she doesn't know none about this stuff. But same thing, by the end of the movie, builds a little bit of some gusto and plays, some really, really nice moments for her. Same for Katie Saraf, who plays Daniela Rios. There's an element to her character that kind of makes you hate her, because, she touches everything. But then when you start to find out hers, again, these little tiny things that Dauberman weaves into the story, you find a little bit about her story and you kind of get her motivations and you're like, oh my gosh. And then you start rooting for her because you're like, I hope like this doesn't blow up in her face. And I love her relationship with Judy and how it becomes really legitimate. It's kind of like a facade at first so she can kind of learn stuff about the Warrens and, move toward her goals. By the end of the movie, she really cares about Judy, and I love that. And I thought that played really well. And then Michael Cimino, who pops in there as Bob, who's just got a crush on Mary Ellen, he's just hysterical, man. What they end up utilizing him in the movie for allows for some really nice humor, some lighter moments to kind of break up the House of Horrors. So I love the performances, and I love how Vera Farmiga and Patrick Wilson, their Ed and Lorraine Warren, kind of bookend this thing. I like that we get to see the rest of what we didn't see when they pick up the Annabelle doll. I love that. We kind of get to go on the ride home with them, gives you some early creepy vibes, and then, I like getting to see them do the things that we love about Ed and Lorraine Warren. There's a birthday party, so you get to see, Ed break out the guitar and just the light things about the Warrens. So it was nice to see them just kind of show up and be like, hey, we're here, we're going to be supporting, but this isn't our movie, this is Judy's. And I ended up really digging that. At first I was very excited they would be in the movie, because every time they're in a film in the Conjuring universe, it's a slam dunk. But here, it's Judy Warren that makes this movie a slam dunk. And some of the creative things that Dauberman pulls off in this film. There's a moment where, like, something's going on and, like, Judy, like, just instinctively goes, oh, man, I'm going to do this. And she flips a switch, and then what proceeds to happen, you just go, oh my gosh, what a brilliant way to execute that. And also to bring in something that's in the Conjuring universe we're all very familiar with and utilize it in a way that you haven't seen it used before. And there's a lot of interesting stuff within the House of Horrors. And in the House of Horrors, there are a lot of demon and spirits that show up. I think I counted about 7 or 8 different ones that we really get to spend time with. And look, I think some people might go into this and go, you could have done more. Like, you didn't really push the envelope too much. Like, lackluster. Get out here, man. We haven't seen this many ghosts and demons in the movie of any of the Conjuring movies. And there's a lot of them. And yes, could you have gone a little bit further? Sure, but I don't think it was necessary for this film. I don't think you had to deliver. There's one thing that, like, I think the payoff was a little weak. It involves a board game. Yeah, okay, that payoff could have been better, but the ferryman, some of the characters we're familiar with, specifically Annabelle and the way she's used in the movie. I love that Samara Lee is back as Bee again. We get to see her for a little bit. But, I mean, there's all these just different things, whether it's, you get some kind of poltergeist stuff. There's another thing, a lot of nods to other horror films and things of that nature. There's some poltergeist stuff in there. And everything that kind of comes out and starts scaring you in this movie, I'm about it, man. There's a bride. We get to learn about some new characters, as I said, the ferryman. And I just thought it all played well. So I liked what we got. Yeah, could we have gotten more? Sure. But Dauberman brought in the scariest of all the characters, and literally every freaking time this thing pops up on screen, it is the biggest jump scare in the universe. Every movie that this one particular ghost, character, demon thing has popped up in has almost given me a heart attack when it arrives. It's terrifying to look at. It's utilized really well here. And overall, like I said, I think Annabelle Comes Home is the best spin-off from the Conjuring movies. I think it's the best of the Annabelle movies, certainly a lot better than The Nun. And I think what's really impressive is this is the culmination of a guy that's been working on these movies, been working with James Wan for the whole run of all these Conjuring movies, and is getting to show you what he can do when he's behind the camera and running the show. And everything he's learned, I just think, pays off for Gary Dauberman in a movie, like I said, little story, but that little story connects with you enough that makes you care about what you're watching on screen, makes you root for these characters, and scares the bejesus out of you when things are going on with them. So I'm a sucker for these movies, and I think this is one of the better ones we've got. I think it's the best one since Conjuring 2. Really, really enjoyed. I'm so happy for Gary Dauberman. I can't wait to see what he does next. I think he is becoming one of these people, like James Wan, who you can just begin to rely on when it comes to horror. So there you go, man. Those are all my non-spoiler thoughts on Annabelle Comes Home, a real legitimate House of Horrors movie. If you just want to kick back and have some good jump scares and have the movie connect a little bit better than like The Nun did, Annabelle Comes Home is for you. If you're not about that, well, I would say avoid it. But if you're in for these, I think this is one of the better of the grouping. So those are all my thoughts. Now I want to know what you're thinking, man. Have you seen Annabelle Comes Home yet? Have you seen any of the movies? Where does this one fall for you? How did you like what Dauberman was doing behind the camera? Could you tell he's learned a lot and now utilizing the things he's learned, putting him here on screen? What worked and what didn't work for you? If you haven't seen the movie, have I enticed you, man? Do you want to get in on this? I hope so. I hope I've enticed you to want to get into the whole Conjuring universe, man. It's one of those James Wan horror universes that just continues to click for me. And yes, I don't think this is the scariest of the Conjuring movies, right? Really, The Conjuring and Conjuring 2. Pretty much the only ones that I've ever really been scared with, but there's some really good jump scares and really good performances. Oh, good God, you're going to fall in love with McKenna Grace. I'm telling you. So let me know everything you're thinking if you're going to go check out the movie. You can do that all down below. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. And if you're new, you want to come hang out with the C-Man, we're talking scary things. You need somebody to help you hide? Go hit that subscribe button, man, a little bell. That follows so you get alerts every time I make a new video. For the C-Man's Cinema Sit Down, I'm C-Man. And I am signing off. Peace. Well, I'll be. You guys are still here. You must be looking for some more content. Well, don't worry. C-Man's got you covered, man. You got videos like this guy and this guy. And if you haven't yet, and you want to come check out all the C-Man goodies, join the Cinema Sit Down squad, man. Hit that subscribe button. And don't forget to hit the little bell down below that, too, so you can get alerts every time I make new videos.